Baby, I need you. I'm ovulating. Black woman mistakenly messages the Korean Mafia boss. She tried to step back, but his hand caught her wrist, firm but impossibly gentle. Zara did not pull away because she wanted him. She froze because men like Park Seojun did not ask twice. In Seoul's underworld, his name was whispered like a curse. People who crossed him disappeared, and she had just accidentally invited him into her life. You blocked me, he said, his voice low and dangerous. You sent me the most intimate message of your life, and then you blocked me. Zara's heart pounded against her ribs. That was a mistake. I told you it was meant for my husband. Park Seojun stepped closer, eliminating the space between them until she could smell his cologne, feel the heat radiating from his body. Your husband, he repeated, the word dripping with contempt. The man who makes you schedule intimacy like a board meeting. The man who leaves you waiting. The man who does not deserve to breathe the same air as you. You do not know anything about my marriage. His dark eyes burned into hers. I know he did not answer. I know you laid in bed alone that night. I know you are starving for someone to see you, really see you. His thumb traced circles on her wrist, right over her racing pulse. And I know that message was not a mistake. It was fate delivering you to me. Zara's breath caught. What do you want from me? Everything. He leaned in, his lips brushing her ear. I want everything you have been too afraid to give. And I am going to spend every single day proving I am worthy of it. But know this. Now that I have found you, I will never let you go. And anyone who tries to take you from me will learn exactly why this city fears my name. This is a story of an accidental text message that ignited an obsession, a love that defied every boundary, and a woman who discovered what it truly meant to be claimed by a man who would burn his empire to the ground before he let anyone take her from him. It all started 3 weeks earlier, with one desperate message sent to the wrong number. 3 weeks earlier, Seoul, South Korea. Zara Williams stood in her tiny apartment bathroom, staring at the ovulation test in her trembling hands. 2 lines. Peak fertility. This was it, her window, possibly her last chance this month to salvage what remained of her 3-year marriage. She pressed her forehead against the cool mirror and took a shaking breath. When had it come to this? When had intimacy with her husband become a clinical procedure, a strategic operation requiring tests and timing and desperation? Baby, I need you. I'm ovulating. She typed the message quickly before she could lose her nerve, before shame could stop her. 3 years ago, Derek had loved her spontaneity, her passion. Now she had to schedule time on his calendar just to be touched. Zara pressed send and set her phone on the marble counter. The apartment was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Derek was in the living room. She had heard him come in 20 minutes ago, but he had not called out to her, had not come looking for her. She smoothed down the silk nightgown she had bought specifically for tonight. Royal blue, his favorite color. The fabric clung to her curves, her full hips and generous breasts, the body he used to worship with his hands and mouth. Now he barely looked at her. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Who is this? Zara's stomach dropped. She grabbed the phone, her hands suddenly ice cold. She scrolled frantically through her contacts, found Derek's name, looked at the number beneath it. Different. Completely different. Oh God. Oh God, oh God, oh God. She had texted a complete stranger. A random person now had the most intimate, humiliating message she had ever sent. Unknown number. I asked you a question. Her fingers flew across the screen. Zara, I'm so sorry. Wrong number. Please delete that message and forget you ever saw it. 3 dots appeared immediately. Whoever this was, they were still awake at 11:30 on a Wednesday night. Still awake and now responding. Unknown number. Your husband does not answer texts like that? The question landed like a slap. Zara's face burned with humiliation and something else, something that felt dangerously close to rage. Zara, that is none of your business. Unknown number. You made it my business when you told me you were ovulating. Zara's hands shook. This person, this stranger, was mocking her. Mocking the most vulnerable moment of her life. Zara, I said I was sorry. Now please delete it and leave me alone. Unknown number. Does he know how lucky he is? Does he know his wife is desperate enough to beg for his attention? Tears blurred her vision. She blocked the number with vicious satisfaction and threw her phone onto the counter. In the bedroom, she found Derek exactly where she expected him. Asleep, fully clothed on top of the comforter, his phone face down on the nightstand, his breathing deep and even. She stood in the doorway in her expensive silk nightgown and watched her husband sleep. He had not even bothered to change clothes. Had not bothered to check his phone. Had not bothered with her. Zara changed into an old t-shirt and climbed into bed on her side, as far from Derek as possible. The California king suddenly felt like an ocean between them. She did not cry. She had run out of tears for this marriage months ago. Instead, she lay in the darkness and wondered when exactly everything had died. Across the city in Gangnam, Park Seojun sat in his private office on the top floor of Club Azure, the legitimate face of his empire. The club below pulsed with music and bodies and money, but up here, the soundproofing reduced it all to a distant heartbeat. He stared at the blocked contact notification on his phone screen. "Baby, I need you. I'm ovulating." The desperation behind those words spoke of a woman trying to hold together something already broken. A woman married to a fool who did not answer her messages. A woman who had accidentally revealed her loneliness to a stranger. Something about it had awakened an instinct in him he could not name. Curiosity, yes, but something deeper, something almost protective. At 35, Seojun controlled half of Seoul's underground operations through intelligence, ruthlessness, and an ironclad rule. Never show weakness. Emotion was weakness. Attachment was weakness. He had built his empire alone, and he intended to maintain it alone. And yet, he forwarded the message thread to his tech specialist. 60 seconds later, Hannah entered without knocking. She was 28, brilliant, and one of the few people Seojun trusted completely. "Find out who this number belongs to," he said without looking up. "Everything about her." Hannah's eyebrows rose slightly, but she nodded. By morning, within the hour, she left. Seojun poured himself 2 fingers of whiskey and returned to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. Somewhere out there was a woman who had just sent her soul to the wrong number. A woman married to a man who made her beg. His jaw tightened. 45 minutes later, Hannah returned with a tablet and a grim expression. "Zara Williams," she said, pulling up a photo. 29 years old. American citizen. Moved to Seoul 3 years ago when she married Derek Williams. She teaches contemporary dance at the Lotus Academy in Itaewon. Seojun took the tablet. The photo was from the Academy's website, a professional headshot that still could not hide the warmth in her smile. Deep brown skin, intelligent dark eyes, natural curls pulled back from her face. Beautiful. Genuinely, arrestingly beautiful. What else? Hannah hesitated. Her husband works as an accountant for Kwon Enterprises. Seojun's expression went cold. Chairman Kwon was his primary rival, a man who had been systematically trying to dismantle Seojun's operations for the past 2 years through corporate manipulation and carefully placed moles. Where is she now? Home, presumably. She has classes tomorrow starting at 10. Send me her schedule. Everything. Where she goes, what she does, who she sees. Hannah nodded and left without question. In Seojun's world, curiosity could be as dangerous as betrayal, but his people knew better than to ask why. Alone again, Seojun studied Zara's photo. There was an openness in her expression that seemed impossibly naive for someone married to a man in Kwon's network. She had no idea what her husband was involved in. No idea of the danger circling her life. And now, for reasons he did not fully understand, she had become his business. The next morning, Zara taught 3 back-to-back dance classes at the Lotus Academy, losing herself in movement and music, the only things that still made sense. Her students were enthusiastic, mostly Korean teenagers trying to master hip-hop and contemporary fusion. She loved them, loved watching them discover their body's potential. If you're still here listening to this story, you're different from most people who scroll past real love stories. Most viewers have already moved on. But you understand that the best stories take time to unfold. Show me you're still watching. Like this video. Subscribe. Comment below and tell me if Zara should trust this dangerous stranger. Because what happens next will change her life forever. And I need to know the real ones are still with me. After her last class, Zara sat in her favorite cafe 3 blocks from the academy, grading choreography assignments with an untouched vanilla latte growing cold beside her. Her phone had been silent all day. Derek had not texted, had not called. She had left before he woke up, unable to face the awkwardness of morning after nothing had happened. Is this seat taken? Zara looked up and her breath caught. The man standing before her was the most striking person she had ever seen in real life. Sharp jawline, intense dark eyes, perfectly styled black hair. He wore a tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, and he carried himself with the kind of confidence that suggested he owned everything he looked at. Something about him seemed familiar, though she could not place why. It's all yours, she said, returning to her papers. He did not sit. Instead, he studied her with an intensity that made her skin warm. You are American, he said. His English was flawless, barely accented. Is it that obvious? She smiled despite herself. Your wedding ring is on the wrong hand. Zara glanced down. In her distraction that morning, she had put her ring on her right hand instead of her left. She laughed, embarrassed. Long morning. She switched it over, and his eyes tracked the movement with an expression she could not read. Park Seojun, he said, extending his hand. Zara. She shook it, and an electric current ran up her arm at the contact. His hand was warm, his grip firm but careful, and he held on a moment longer than necessary. You are a teacher, he said. How did you? He gestured to the papers spread before her. Lucky guess. You do not seem like someone who relies on luck. His smile was slow and devastating. No, mostly I am observant. He finally took the seat across from her, and Zara tried to ignore how her heart rate had increased. This was ridiculous. She was married. This was just a conversation with a stranger. Your husband does not mind you working late alone? The question was presumptuous, but something in his tone suggested genuine concern rather than impropriety. He is working late too. Seojun's expression remained neutral, though inside, rage simmered. Right now, Derek Williams was at his mistress's apartment in Gangnam, paid for with money embezzled from Kwan's accounts. Hannah had provided a full dossier that morning. Gambling debts, a second life, a wife left waiting at home. Then he is a fool to leave you waiting, Seojun said quietly. Zara's breath caught. The compliment was delivered with such quiet intensity that it bypassed every defense she had built. You do not know me. No, he agreed. But I would like to. She should have refused. Should have gathered her papers and left. This man was too handsome, too intense, too everything. But she found herself nodding, heard herself saying, I have 20 minutes before I need to catch my bus. Those 20 minutes became an hour. Then 2. Seojun asked questions and actually listened to her answers. He learned she had moved to Seoul for love, that she missed her family in Atlanta, that dance was her first language before English. He told her he owned several businesses, appreciated art, traveled frequently for work. He did not tell her those businesses included half of Seoul's underground, that his appreciation for art came from laundering money through galleries, that his travel involved meeting with international smugglers and information brokers. When her phone buzzed with Derek's text saying he would be even later, Seojun noticed the way her shoulders slumped, the light dimming in her eyes. Let me take you home, he offered. I do not think that is appropriate. As a friend concerned about your safety. Nothing more. Against her better judgment, Zara agreed. His car was sleek and black, driven by a silent chauffeur who appeared the moment they stepped outside. Seojun opened the door for her, and she slid into leather seats that probably cost more than her entire apartment's furniture. He sat beside her in the back, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Something subtle and intoxicating, cedar and something darker. They drove through Seoul's illuminated streets in comfortable silence. Zara watched the city slide past and tried to ignore the fact that she felt more connected to the stranger than she had to her own husband in months. "You deserve better," Seojun said quietly as they neared her building in Mapo. "You do not know what I deserve. I know you deserve someone who answers your messages." His dark eyes met hers, and the intensity there stole her breath. Someone who comes home. Someone who sees what he has before it is too late. The car stopped in front of her building. "I would never leave you waiting," Seojun said. His voice was low and rough and full of promise. "Remember that." Zara fled without looking back, her heart racing in a way it had not in years. Inside the car, Seojun watched her disappear into her building. His hands clenched into fists on his thighs. "Juno," he said to his driver, "I want surveillance on this building. 24/7. No one approaches her without me knowing about it." "Yes, boss. And find out everything about Derek Williams' activities. I want to know every breath he takes, everyone he spends, every lie he tells." Seojun leaned back against the seat and closed his eyes. He had told himself he was merely gathering intelligence on Kwan's people, that Zara was simply a potential asset, a way to gain information. But he knew the truth. From the moment he had received that accidental message, something in him had recognized her. Like his soul had been waiting without knowing what it was waiting for. And now that he had met her, had seen her smile, had heard her laugh, had watched loneliness flicker across her beautiful face, he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He was going to take her from the fool who did not deserve her. And he was going to make her his. Over the next 2 weeks, Park Seojun became a ghost in Zara's life. Not haunting, but present in ways that made her heart skip. Fresh jasmine tea appeared at the academy's front desk every Monday, her favorite blend that she had mentioned once in passing. A care package arrived at her apartment filled with American snacks she had told him she missed. Honey butter chips from Atlanta, hot Cheetos, Reese's peanut butter cups, things she had not tasted in months. There was never a card, never a name, but she knew. And then there were the encounters that felt too frequent to be coincidence. She found him at the same cafe on Thursday afternoon, reading a book in Korean. He looked up when she entered, and his smile was so genuine it made her chest ache. "We have to stop meeting like this," she said, trying to keep her tone light. "Why?" He set his book aside. "I enjoy meeting like this. People will talk. Let them." He gestured to the seat across from him. "I am more interested in what you have to say." She sat. She knew she should not, knew this was dangerous territory, but she sat anyway. They talked for 2 hours. He told her about growing up in Seoul, losing his parents young, building everything from nothing. She told him about her dreams of opening her own dance studio, about missing her mother's cooking, about the loneliness of living in a country where she would always be foreign. He listened like every word mattered, like she mattered. When her phone buzzed with another excuse from Derek, Seojun's jaw tightened. "How long has he been doing this? Making you wait?" Zara looked away. 6 months. Maybe longer. I stopped counting. And you still try. Still wait for him. What else am I supposed to do? She met his eyes, defiance and pain warring in her expression. "I made vows. I promised forever. Forever is meant for people who honor it on both sides." Seojun leaned forward, his voice dropping. "You are keeping promises to a man who broke his the moment he stopped seeing you. You do not know that I know he does not come home. I know he leaves you alone. I know he has let the most extraordinary woman I have ever met believe she is not enough." Seojun's hand covered hers on the table. "That is all I need to know." Zara should have pulled away, should have run. Instead, she let his hand stay, let his warmth seep into her cold fingers. "Why do you care?" she whispered. "Because someone should. Because you deserve someone who cares." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "Because from the moment you accidentally sent me that message, I have not been able to stop thinking about you. This is wrong. Your husband made it wrong the moment he betrayed you." She pulled her hand back then, heart racing. "You are talking about things you cannot possibly know." Seojun sat back, his expression unreadable. "You are right. Forgive me. But he did know. He knew everything. The mistress in Gangnam, the gambling debts at underground clubs, the embezzlement from Kwan's accounts that would eventually get Derek killed if Seojun did not intervene. He knew, and it took every ounce of control not to tell her, not to shatter her world before she was ready. On Saturday, Zara went to her favorite bookstore in Hongdae, seeking refuge in the aisles of English novels. She was reaching for a book on the top shelf when a hand appeared above hers, easily retrieving it. She turned and found Seojun holding the book with a small smile. "Are you following me?" she asked, but there was no real accusation in her tone. "This is my favorite bookstore," he said smoothly. "I come here every Saturday." It was a lie. He had never been here before. But Hannah's surveillance had told him Zara came here religiously every weekend. So now it was his favorite bookstore. "What are the odds?" Zara said, accepting the book from him. "In a city of 10 million people? Very low." He tilted his head. "Or perhaps very high, depending on what you believe about fate." They browsed together, discussing books and authors. Seojun bought her 3 novels she had been eyeing, waving off her protests. "Consider it a gift from a friend," he said. "We barely know each other. Then let us change that. Have dinner with me." Zara's breath caught. "I cannot. I am married. 1 meal. As friends. You have to eat anyway." His eyes held hers. "Unless you are afraid." "Of what?" "Of admitting that you feel this too. Whatever this is between us." She should have said no. Should have walked away, blocked his number if she even had it, avoided every place they had met. Instead, she heard herself say 1 meal. As friends. His smile was triumphant and tender all at once. "I will pick you up at 7. That evening, Zara stood in front of her closet for 20 minutes, telling herself this was not a date, that she was simply having dinner with a friend, that the butterflies in her stomach meant nothing. Derek was not home. Again. He had texted that he was working late on a project. She had stopped asking which project months ago. She chose a simple black dress, elegant but not too formal. When she came downstairs at 7, Seojun was waiting beside his car, and the way his eyes darkened when he saw her made her feel beautiful for the first time in forever. "You look stunning," he said, opening the door for her. "Thank you. You clean up well yourself." He wore dark slacks and a black button-down with the sleeves rolled to his forearms. Casual but devastatingly handsome. They went to a quiet restaurant in Itaewon, tucked away from the main streets. The lighting was soft, the music low, the atmosphere intimate. "Do you bring all your friends here?" Zara asked as they were seated in a private corner booth. "No." Seojun's gaze was steady. "Only the ones I want to know everything about." Over dinner, the conversation flowed like they had known each other for years instead of weeks. He made her laugh with stories about cultural misunderstandings when he traveled. She made him smile, really smile, when she described her students' latest choreography disasters. "Why dance?" he asked, watching her hands move expressively as she spoke. "Because it is the only language that never lies." Zara's expression softened. "When I dance, I do not have to pretend. I do not have to be anyone but myself. And when you are not dancing," she looked down at her wine glass, "then I am very good at pretending." Seojun reached across the table, tilting her chin up with gentle fingers. "You should never have to pretend. Not about who you are. Not about what you need. Not about being happy when you are breaking apart." Tears pricked her eyes. "How do you see me so clearly when we have only just met?" "Because I recognize the loneliness. I have lived it my entire life." His voice was rough with honesty. "Until you, Seojun. I am not asking for anything you cannot give. But I need you to know that you are not alone. Not anymore." A tear slipped down her cheek, and he caught it with his thumb, the gesture so tender it shattered something inside her. After dinner, he drove her home, but neither of them moved to leave the car when it stopped in front of her building. "Thank you for tonight," Zara said quietly. "I needed this. More than you know." "Then let me give you more. Let me take you to the gallery opening next Friday. To the jazz club on Sunday. To anywhere you want to go. As friends. As whatever you need me to be." His hand covered hers. I will take whatever you can give, Zara. I will wait as long as it takes. She should have said no. Should have created distance. Should have protected her marriage, her vows, her conscience. But her marriage was already dead. Derek had killed it months ago with his absence, his coldness, his betrayal. She was only beginning to admit to herself. Okay, she whispered, as friends. Over the next week, Seojun inserted himself into her life with deliberate care. He appeared at her classes with coffee during her breaks. He texted her good morning and good night. He sent her songs he thought she would like, articles about dance, pictures of things that made him think of her. And slowly, carefully, Zara began to let him in. She told him about her mother in Atlanta who called every Sunday. About her father who had passed when she was 12. About her dreams that had gotten smaller and smaller the longer she stayed in a marriage that was suffocating her. He told her about losing his parents at 17. About building his business through sheer will and ruthlessness. About the loneliness of being at the top with no one to share it with. What he did not tell her was the exact nature of his business. That conversation would come, but not yet. Not until she was ready. On Wednesday evening, Zara came home early from the academy with a splitting headache. She had left her phone in the bedroom that morning, and when she picked it up, she saw a text notification from Derek's phone. But it was not from Derek. It was a mistaken text from someone named Jisoo. The preview showed before she even opened it. Jisoo, missing you already, baby. Last night was incredible. When can I see you again? The world tilted. Zara sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the words until they blurred. She scrolled up through Derek's messages, looking for something, anything, but he had clearly been deleting his conversation threads. She opened his texts to her. The last one was from that morning. Working late again. Do not wait up. 3 hours ago, while he was supposedly working, someone named Jisoo was texting about last night being incredible. Zara's hands shook. She wanted to scream. Wanted to throw the phone against the wall. Wanted to cry. Instead, she stood up, walked calmly to the closet, pulled out a suitcase and began packing. She did not know where she was going. She just knew she could not be here when Derek came home. Could not look at his face. Could not listen to more lies. Her phone rang. Seojun. She answered without thinking. Are you all right? His voice was sharp with concern. You sound upset. Her voice cracked. I need to go. Cannot be here. Where are you? Home. But I cannot. I just found. She could not finish the sentence. I am coming. Do not leave. Stay there. I will be there in 15 minutes. Seojun, please, trust me. Just 15 minutes. She nodded even though he could not see her, then whispered, okay. 12 minutes later, there was a knock on her door. She opened it to find Seojun standing there, slightly breathless like he had run up the stairs instead of taking the elevator. What happened? He asked, stepping inside. Zara handed him her phone without a word, showing him the text from Jisoo. Seojun's expression went cold and deadly. How long? I do not know. Months, probably. Maybe longer. She laughed bitterly. I have been trying to get pregnant with a man who has been sleeping with someone else. Seojun pulled her against his chest, and she collapsed into him, the tears finally coming in racking sobs. He held her while she shattered, one hand cradling her head, the other locked around her waist like he could physically hold her together. I have got you, he murmured into her hair. I have got you, and I am not letting go. She cried until she had nothing left, until her body was wrung out and empty. When she finally pulled back, his shirt was soaked with her tears. I am sorry, she said, wiping her face. Never apologize for this. He cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away the remaining tears. He did this. He broke his vows. He broke your trust. You have nothing to be sorry for. I do not know what to do. You leave him. Tonight. You pack your things and you leave and you never look back. And go where? With me. Seojun. I have a guest room. You will be safe. You will be cared for. And when you are ready, I will help you find your own place. But you are not staying here another night with a man who does not deserve to breathe the same air as you. She should have refused. Should have called a hotel, called a friend. Done anything other than accept help from a man she barely knew but somehow trusted more than her own husband. Instead, she nodded. They packed in silence. Seojun moved through her apartment with efficient calm, helping her gather clothes, toiletries, important documents. When Derek's key turned in the lock an hour later, they were standing in the living room with 3 suitcases. Derek froze in the doorway, his eyes moving from Zara to Seojun to the luggage. What is going on? He demanded. Who the hell is this? Someone who actually answers when she reaches out. Seojun said coldly. Unlike you. Zara, what is he talking about? Derek's expression shifted to confusion and false concern. Zara held up her phone, showing him Jisoo's text. Do not lie to me. Not anymore. Derek's face went pale. Baby, I can explain. Do not call me that. Her voice was ice. You do not get to call me that ever again. It was a mistake. She does not mean anything. Then you mean nothing, Zara interrupted. I want a divorce. Derek's expression twisted into anger. You cannot just leave. You cannot just walk out on 3 years of marriage. Watch me. This is because of him, is it not? Derek pointed at Seojun. You are leaving me for this stranger? I am leaving you because you are a cheater and a liar. Zara's voice did not waver. He is just the person kind enough to help me carry my bags. Seojun picked up 2 of the suitcases. Are you ready? Zara grabbed the 3rd and walked toward the door. Derek stepped into her path. Move, she said quietly. We need to talk about this. We need to. You need to move before I call the police and tell them you are preventing me from leaving. Derek looked at Seojun, who had gone very still, his expression promising violence if Derek did not step aside. Derek moved. Zara walked out of her apartment, out of her marriage, out of 3 years of trying to love a man who had never deserved it. In the elevator, the reality of what she had just done hit her. She had left her husband. She was going home with another man. Her life as she knew it was over. Seojun's hand found hers and squeezed gently. You are safe, he said. I promise you that. In the car, Zara stared out the window at Seoul's passing lights and tried to feel something other than numb. Where are we going? She asked. My penthouse. You will have complete privacy. My staff is discreet, and I will stay in the guest room. You take the master suite. Seojun, I am not asking for anything. His voice was firm. You need a safe place to land. Let me give you that. They arrived at a gleaming high-rise in Gangnam. The doorman greeted Seojun with a respectful bow and did not even blink at Zara's tear-stained face and multiple suitcases. The penthouse was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, modern furniture in shades of gray and black, expensive art on the walls. It was beautiful and cold and absolutely nothing like the cramped apartment she had just left. The master bedroom is through there, Seojun said, carrying her suitcases inside. Private bathroom. Walk-in closet. Everything you need. If you need anything else, just ask. Where will you sleep? The guest room is on the other side of the apartment. You will have complete privacy. He set her bags down and turned to face her. I meant what I said. I am not expecting anything from you. You have been through hell tonight. You need rest and safety. That is all I am offering. Why are you being so kind to me? Because you deserve kindness. Because you deserve someone who puts you first. His expression softened. And because the thought of you going back to that apartment, to that man, makes me want to burn the world down. Before she could respond, he stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her cheek. Get some rest. We will figure everything out in the morning. He left, closing the door softly behind him. Zara stood in the enormous bedroom and tried to process the last 3 hours. She had discovered her husband's affair. She had packed her life into 3 suitcases. She had walked out on her marriage. And now she was standing in a stranger's penthouse, feeling safer than she had in her own home in months. She showered, washing away the tears and the devastation, then climbed into bed wearing one of Seojun's t-shirts she found in the drawer. It smelled like his cologne, and she pulled it close, breathing him in. She should have felt guilty, should have felt wrong. Instead, for the first time in months, she felt like she could finally breathe. In the guest room on the other side of the penthouse, Seojun sat on the edge of the bed with his head in his hands. She was here, in his home, under his protection. He had wanted this, had orchestrated encounters to make her see him, see what she deserved. But not like this, never like this. He had wanted her to come to him whole, not shattered. Had wanted to win her heart, not catch her when she fell. But she was here now, and he would be whatever she needed. Friend, protector, sanctuary. And when she was ready, when she had healed from the betrayal, he would show her what it meant to be loved by a man who would move heaven and earth just to see her smile. His phone buzzed. Hannah. Hannah. Derek Williams just called someone in Kwan's organization. He is asking questions about you. This could get complicated. Seojun. Let it get complicated. Anyone who comes for her comes through me first. He set the phone aside and lay back on the bed, listening to the silence of his penthouse that for once did not feel empty. Somewhere on the other side of these walls, Zara was sleeping. Safe. Protected. Not yet, not completely. But soon. He would make sure of it. If this story has gripped your heart, if you felt Zara's pain and Seojun's fierce protectiveness, then you understand what real storytelling is. Most people will scroll past this without feeling anything. But you stayed. You felt every word. That makes you rare. So do something rare right now. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me if Seojun is the hero Zara needs, or if she is walking into something more dangerous than her marriage ever was. Because what comes next will test everything they feel for each other. And I need to know you are ready for it. This is not just a story. This is an experience. And the best experiences are shared. So share this with someone who needs to believe in love that fights back. I will see you in the final part, where everything Zara thought she knew about safety, love, and danger gets shattered. Do not miss it.